Hi, everybody. I am coming to you live from my living room. It's funny. Oh, and here's Luca right on schedule. I'm going to sound like such a weirdo, but totally got a Peloton for the holidays. And so it totally takes up where I used to stream yoga. But jokes, hopefully Luca doesn't eat my water bottle. Jokes aside, I wanted to let you all know that today will be my last Yoga for Mental Wellness live stream. I have accepted another opportunity. I'm going to try to get through this without crying, but I've accepted another position at a local nearby school to be director of counseling services. And so it was a really incredible opportunity that I couldn't pass up, and certainly a decision that I did not take lightly. Luca is going to continue to run around. But so I just wanted to, before we jump in, just say how much I have really loved getting to be with you every week. Almost every week, Mondays from 4 to 5. And little Luca's here. I wore my sweatshirt just for him since he's been our mascot this whole time. But I've really, really loved this, and I hope that you have also enjoyed our time together. And know that these videos are going to still be up on CSDS's YouTube page, so you can't get rid of me that quickly, but they'll be there so you can go back to them and practice. And anytime you maybe want to dabble in some yin yoga, you know where to find those videos. But I really have loved this. It's been so fun. And I'm so excited that y'all are in such great hands with so many of the other mellows, mindfulness fellows, and yoga teachers that CSDS collaborates with. So lots of really wonderful yoga videos, wonderful meditations that I'm sure you've probably already taken advantage of. So today we're not going to need any props. We are going to be, as you can see, we are just going to kind of be chilling and having a relaxing time. I have no idea where that just came from. We're just going to be chilling. Y'all, I'm emotional. So we won't need any props, but if you want some pillows or a blanket nearby, you can totally grab them. Oh, thank you so much. That's really great. Oh my gosh, thank you. So if you want to grab pillows or a blanket, maybe some layers if you're going to be a little chilly. Just so you know, the heater might go off. There might be some weird noises that you hear, but hopefully it won't be too distracting. We will be, oh my goodness, on our backs and on our stomachs a little bit, sit in an upright seated position. So feel free to grab any props that you think could be useful there. But hopefully, in this practice today is really going to focus on cultivating more of that inner awareness. How can we kind of tune into ourselves and our own internal experience and really just connect more deeply with who we are, and also really feel ourselves as we move through these poses. Really notice what the poses can help us access within our body, rather than using our body to access the poses. So hopefully that'll make more sense. As you hopefully remember, do what's best for you. You are the expert of your body. Everything in this class is just an offering, so I really encourage you to listen to what you need. If you want to just lay on your mat or your couch the whole time and just chill, relax, do what's best for you. You can always come back to these videos whenever you need to. So to get started, we are going to begin in a seated meditation. So I'm going to go ahead and sit cross-legged, as that feels pretty comfortable for me. If you have a small pillow, or a blanket, you can fold it up and rest it underneath your hip bones to give your hips a little bit of height. And go ahead and settle into your body right now. Fidget as much as you need to in these first few moments. You might kind of roll around your torso and your pelvis just to sort of find, well, one, it kind of feels good to sort of move around if you've been sitting or kind of stagnant all day. But go in one direction and then the opposite direction, just kind of stirring your spine and your pelvis. And then maybe just allow your body to gently come back to a more centered position where you can align your shoulders over your hips. Your ears align over your shoulders. Your shoulders are melting and softening down your back. Your chin is parallel to the floor beneath you. Maybe your eyelids close or your eyes are focused on a non-moving point in front of you. If you want to peek real quick, this is Mula, also known as Mu. Very rare appearance. Super stoked he's here. Have no idea how I'm gonna do yoga around him, but I'm so excited. Oh my God, he's laying up against me. This is a big deal. Oh, now Luca's gonna fight him. Back to meditation. So go ahead. Close your eyes if it feels safe to do so. And you can have your palms resting face up in your lap if you need a little more energy. If you find you need more grounding energy, you can rest your palms face down. If you'd like, you can also rest your hands over your heart, maybe left hand, then right hand, fingers spread wide. Apply a gentle pressure just so that you can really feel the weight of your hands over your heart. Notice where you're breathing in your body. Notice if your breath is shallow, if you're breathing maybe with your belly or with your chest. Notice the pace of your breathing, and no need to change it just yet. Let's just get familiar with our own internal experience. How often do we stop and notice our breath? This energy, this life force, prana that flows through our bodies and sustains us. Our inhales, our exhales literally nourish our brains and our bodies. So maybe you take this moment to hold some space for gratitude for your ability to breathe in and out as you do. Slowly begin to expand your inhales and exhales just by 1 or 2 seconds more. If you notice that you've got a little bit of anxiety, elongating your exhales can be really, really nourishing and grounding. Taking full deep breaths in from the base of your belly. Allowing your lungs to flare out like wings as you breathe in. And allowing your torso to gently soften and settle as you exhale. You might find it helpful to count the seconds as you inhale and exhale, maybe for a 4 count. Maybe you imagine your breath as a wave lapping against the shore. But do whatever you need to allow yourself to settle into this awareness of your breath while you're deepening and expanding your breath. Your hands over your heart, maybe you can even feel the pulse underneath your hands or the beat of your heart. Notice any internal sensations that you may be experiencing. If any parts of your body are cold, or if there's an itch, or maybe there's some tension, or maybe you need to gently allow the shoulders to sink back, elongate your spine. Maybe tilting your head so again that your chin is parallel to the earth. Take a few more deep breaths here at your own pace, maybe sighing out the mouth if that feels useful. I'm a big, big proponent of sighs. It's a nice way to release tension in the body. Let these deep breaths really just clear out any stagnant energy or Anything that was happening before you came onto your mat today that you really just want to release. Slowly, gently begin to blink open your eyes if they were closed. Lift your gaze. I'm going to try not to disturb two little fur babies next to me, and I'm going to slide over. You can stay seated. I can't believe they're both here. It's like they knew. You can stay seated and we'll move into butterfly. So bring the soles of your feet together. Knees will wing out to the side. And you can take a bit, oh, I hope you can see that they are cuddling right now. You can take more of a longer sort of open diamond shape with your legs. So rather than them being your heels being really close to your seat, I'll encourage you to move them away so you've got more of a diamond shape in your legs. And then really create length in your spine, right? We want to have that really long, long spine, no cramping anywhere along our back or our neck. And you might choose to stay upright with your hands pressing into the floor on either side of your hips. You may also begin to sort of bend or melt your heart forward. Initially, keep that long spine and notice where you feel a stretch across the inner leg line, the outer leg line, and your hips. If it feels useful to you, you could always melt yourself forward, letting your upper body cascade and melt over your legs. One is not deeper than the other. One is not better than the other. Find what works for you in this shape. The areas where we will be targeting are along the inner leg line and our groin, as well as the outer hips. If you choose to melt your heart forward, you'll feel this elongation of your spine as well, and maybe some space created along your back body. But wherever you are, remember, take that deep breath with you that you just did in our seated meditation. Bye, Moo. And so ensure that you've got space in your midsection to breathe. I'm going to gently come out of the pose because I see the chat is getting flooded. So I'm just going to come look, but stay where you are and breathe. Oh, thank you. Plantar fasciitis. Hi, Nose. Well, someone else just said. Oh, thank you, Rashawn. That's so sweet. So I'm seeing some folks asking about some foot stuff. I'm wanting me to take my socks off. I'm freezing. I'm going to keep my socks on if that's okay. I am going to tell you right now, I am totally blanking on plantar fasciitis. I don't know anatomy as well as maybe someone with that background would. I have no idea where that is, person that commented in the chat, but I will Google. But I'm totally blanking on it right now. I feel like I covered that in my yoga class or my yoga teacher training, and I'm just blanking on it. So I apologize, but hopefully you will find other things that you can take away from today's class. And feel free to pop in the chat if you have suggestions, y'all. Those who are here now can see the chat in live time, so feel free to comment. So again, you're in this butterfly shape. We've been here for a couple of minutes, so notice if anything has shifted for you. Maybe you find that you want to gently ease up and come to a straighter spine. Maybe you want to play around with gently beginning to fold forward or round forward. As you might recall, in yin yoga, we come into a shape and we find our edge in that shape. So that edge can be anywhere from a 4 or 5 on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is, oh my goodness, this is a lot. I need to get out of this shape. 1 is, I could totally fall asleep here. So not too intense, not too gentle. We want to be in that halfway point, and we want to allow our muscles to soften. Yin yoga is actually targeting the connective tissues in the body rather than the muscles. So while we may experience some stretching right now of muscles in our body, it's sort of like inevitable in some of the shapes. But by allowing our muscles to relax, coming into a shape, holding in our edge for a period of time, we target those connective tissues in our body. Those connective tissues are the muscles, the joint, or sorry, not the muscles, the joints, the ligaments, the fascia, which is that connective webbing that holds everything together and weaves in and out of the muscles and the joints and ligaments and all that. But even our bones. And so you can think about it like braces for teeth, right? I have Invisalign right now, so this is kind of my like go-to example. But when you get braces on your teeth, or when someone gets braces on their teeth, it's this consistent pressure that's applied to the bones, the teeth, and that's what allows them to move, this sustained pressure over a period of time. Because if you think about it, if you were to wiggle the teeth really fast to try and get them to move, they would fall out, and we don't want that. So yin yoga is very similar to like orthodontics, where you're applying this gentle but sustained pressure, not too intense, not too gentle, that allows for those connective tissues in the body to safely shift. So keep breathing here. I'm going to just peek at the chat because I know a few people are popping back in. So Avinash, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing that. I would suggest really strongly connecting with the folks at CSDS, giving us a call at UHCS. We are at 617-373-2772. We can totally offer you, emotional support, things like that. In addition, I know CSDS can totally help with the spiritual side of things. They're also a confidential resource on campus as well as UHCS. But in addition to that, Find at Northeastern is available to all students 24/7. So if y'all are on here and you're active Northeastern students, Find at Northeastern is basically a 24/7 support line. I promise we're going to come out of, actually, go ahead and sit up. Let me, as I'm telling you, go ahead and gently stretch your legs forward. Maybe wiggle your toes from side to side. Just kind of let your legs have a breather for a moment. Bring your hands behind you. Maybe open up through your chest. Pull your shoulder blades together. Maybe lean the head back. And while you're moving in whatever way feels good for you, I'll finish telling you about Find at Northeastern. So that's that 24/7 support line you can access anytime, day or night, whether you're in the US or traveling abroad. There's information on the UHCS website. If you go to northeastern.edu/UHCS, you click on mental health, and then you'll see Find at Northeastern is right there. The number is, I believe it's 877-233-9477, but I'm going to have to double check that. It's committed to memory, but of course right now when I'm streaming live, it's totally out of my mind. But I will get that for you. I will put it in the notes for this video just in case. So, or in the chat, I'll do that after our next pose. But thank you for sharing that with me. So next up, we're going to take caterpillar. So I'm going to turn to the side. Hey, Luca, just totally hanging out. And you'll extend your legs long in front of you. And you might find that keeping a soft bend in your legs will actually alleviate some of the pressure along your hamstrings. And now here, similarly as when we were in a meditation at the beginning of this class, you might bring a blanket underneath your seat so that you can sit really tall. You might find that pressing your hands into the floor alongside your hips and keeping a long spine feels like it's good with keeping your legs straight in front of you. But if you want to maybe move a little bit deeper and come into more of a fuller expression or typical expression of caterpillar, you'll begin to melt yourself, your torso over your legs. So it's like a forward fold, but except we're seated. And you might find that grabbing onto your shins, your ankles, or your feet can be nice to just offer some stability. But let your feet be relaxed, your ankles, your legs are relaxed. And there's not a lot of effort here. It's really just a passive forward fold. Any tension in your neck or your the upper back, or even just like your head feels a little, you might feel dizzy having yourself folded forward. I like to rest my hands, or my elbows rather, my elbows on my legs. And then maybe just rest my head or my forehead in my palms. And then I can adjust if need be. So folding more forward, or maybe gently easing out of the shape. So again, you want to find that 4 or 5 out of 10. And in particular in caterpillar, we feel a stretch or an expansion across the back of our legs. Maybe even a spreading of the back of our hips or our glutes. maybe an expansion or spreading across the low back. And if you're choosing to fold forward, you might even feel this spreading of the shoulder blades as they kind of wing out to the side. So wherever you are, per usual, ensure that you've got space in your midsection to breathe. And I'm going to go ahead and quickly type in the chat. I'm going to pull up that number. Someone else, barefoot yoga. What is it with y'all and wanting me to be barefoot? Respect my autonomy. I'm cold. I want my feetsies covered. All right, so I'm going to put in the number for Find at Northeastern, which I mentioned is that 24/7 support for full-time Northeastern students. I'm going to put in the domestic number, so for United States first, and then I'll put the international number as well, just in case. All right, so that's in there. So again, we're here in this caterpillar shape. You might find that now that you've been in this shape for a few moments, maybe you can begin to straighten the legs just a little bit more, which will increase, again, that sensation across the back of the legs. In this shape in particular, it can feel almost like an inner massage if you really breathe deeply and aim to breathe into your low back. Breathing really deeply into your belly. It almost allows the low back and even like the bottom of your rib cage to gently flare out a little bit. Be here for less than a couple minutes, so not too much longer. One of the things that I really love about yin yoga is that it forces us to really slow down. You know, I'm sure y'all are extremely busy as Northeastern students. And I know I am very, very busy wrapping up my final few days at Northeastern here in this role. And there's always something to do, right? There is always going to be something to do. But when we can pause, we can be in our own internal experience, and we can breathe and become more present with the present moment. We're less distracted, and we can go back to whatever it is that we need to get done, that giant to-do list. We can do it with a clearer brain and maybe even more motivation to get things done, right? Because we've almost recalibrated or reset. Got about a minute left here. You might notice that maybe you've become distracted by maybe something in your space or something outside, or maybe you can hear these kids playing outside here where I live. And that's okay, right? If you've done other videos with me, you know that when you get distracted, it's just your brain doing its job. So you can say, thank you, brain. You're just doing your job. And then come back to focus on what's the task at hand. So breathing, right? We fall into the shape and we continue to breathe deeply. That breath allows our muscles to relax, allows our body to settle, our nervous system to settle. And that's where we can really reap the benefits of a practice like yoga. Big, deep breath in here. And sigh it out. Inhale, begin to walk your torso back upright. Oof, maybe windshield wiper the legs back and forth. It might feel good to bend the knees and kind of, again, swivel the legs back and forth. Maybe shimmying your hips from side to side. And then whenever you feel ready, you'll come to face the long edge of your mat. And we'll start with our left leg extended. So we'll extend our left leg out long to the side. And you can think about trying to align your left leg with the corner edge of your mat. On the short edge. And then your right foot, you'll bring into the inner leg line along your left thigh. And so your right heel will be close to your pelvis. And initially, you might need to kind of shimmy a little bit, set yourself up well. You might want that blanket underneath your hips if you've got one nearby. But initially, we'll turn ourselves so that we face our bent knee, so our right leg. And now first, just use your hands. Give yourself a long, long spine. Crown of your head reaches towards the ceiling. Maybe wrap your left hand on top of your right thigh for a moment, just to kind of encourage a little bit more of that twisting. But don't go to the point where you're like, and I can't move anymore. Just gently twist over towards your right. Long, straight spine. Now gently, keeping your torso as it is, go ahead and reach your left arm on top of maybe your left shin or your left thigh, or maybe even along the side of your left leg. Wing your right arm overhead and start to arch up and over your left leg. Your heart will be spinning open, maybe up towards the ceiling. And remember, we got all that sort of twisting out so that we could face our right knee, but that'll help also just expand and open your heart up towards the ceiling. You might find that resting your elbow on your left knee and then resting your head in your hand might feel nice. And you can play with where you leave your right arm. It might feel good to kind of let it dangle over your head. Maybe you want to rest it alongside you or on your right knee. But find what works for you here, and where you might feel some of almost like a spreading or a stretching is across the right side of your waist. You might even get into your psoas, that big, I call it like a fruit roll-up muscle, because it's just this like giant muscle that drapes around our hip and connects to from our back and our spine to our hip flexor and our thigh. So you might feel a stretch there. Depending on where you've got your arm, that's going to change where you feel the stretch. And you might also feel a stretch again across the back of your left leg, and maybe even a stretch across the inner left thigh. But find what works for you here. Breathe deeply into your right side ribs. Ensure that you've got that long spine as you curve and arch up and over your left leg. So in some texts, this is called half dragonfly. And I've seen it as half butterfly. So take your pick. I'm not sure which one. But as you might recall in yin yoga, which is a Western yoga practice, well, it's rooted in traditional Chinese medicine, but I think it was two white men in like the 70s created yin yoga. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's it. So back to what I was saying, yin yoga, all the poses are named after animals, so it's kind of fun. I don't know why though, but I personally really like it. As someone who appreciates nature and fur babies. If you find that your neck maybe starts to hurt a little bit, you can always lift your head, kind of turn your gaze around, stretch out your neck a little bit. If it feels like there's too much pressure in the left hip joint, you might come up a little bit higher. So just notice your experience. Just as we did at the start of this practice, really paying attention to what is happening internally for you without judgment, more as a curiosity. Be here for about another minute or so. You might find that in these last 30-ish seconds, you might want to move a little bit deeper toward your left leg. Maybe you want to gently come a little bit more upright. But find what works for you. Deeper is not better. Just staying with your edge, that 4 or 5 out of 10. So not too intense, not too gentle. Big full breath into the right side of your waist. Exhale. Slowly as you inhale, begin to lift your torso up. Maybe bring the soles of your feet together, knees moving out to the side. Ooh, and just notice if there's any achiness or tenderness along the right side of your ribs or maybe even across the left leg. It might feel good to gently kind of bounce your knees up and down. Or maybe it would just feel good to stay steady for a moment or extend your legs long in front of you and just let the legs settle for a moment. Taking a few cleansing inhales and exhales. We take these moments of pause in between sides and sometimes in between shapes as a way of allowing the body to integrate the movement that we've just done, right? So letting the body settle back into its more habitual patterns, its habitual forms, allowing our awareness to come back, right, to the present moment. Notice the difference between left and right sides of your body right now. It should feel different. If it doesn't, that's okay too. And as you feel ready, we'll move now onto our right side. So you'll extend your right leg long. Again, you're facing that long edge of your yoga mat. Your right foot will be aiming towards the top corner of your mat. And then you'll bring the left foot, the left sole of your foot towards your right upper thigh. Your left heel will be coming in towards your hip. And then again, let's start with that long, long spine. Just make some space, pull the torso out of your hips. This actually feels good. Pull the shoulder blades together, hug your shoulders together, push your heart forward, and maybe just tilt the head back for a moment. I don't know, for me, apparently my body needed that. So once you have that long, long spine, begin to turn your gaze and your torso over towards your left knee now. So that bent knee. Maybe bring your right hand to rest on the left knee. Your left arm's long and straight behind you, allowing for that lift in your torso. Take a big deep breath in. Exhale, gently twist a little bit more towards the left side of your space. But again, not too intense. We're just opening up, bringing out the spine. And then once you feel ready, you can drift your right hand back over toward your right leg and slowly begin to arch up and over your right leg, maybe allowing the left hand to drape overhead. Maybe your right hand reaches for your right foot, your right ankle, your right shin, or maybe it bends and you rest your hand. Oh, I did it again. Rest your head in your hand. But play around with the placement of your left arm. Find what feels okay for you in this shape. You might feel a stretch across the back of your right leg, maybe a pulling across the groin along your inner right thigh. Sorry, I'm mirroring y'all. Maybe you can get into the psoas on this side now and feel the psoas along your right hip. That muscle that goes from your spine, weaves through the hip and connects to your thigh and your hip flexor. Maybe you can feel a spreading or a stretch across that side, across the left side of your ribs. I know that my left leg, well, this is my left leg. I'm mirroring you, but this leg tends to be tighter than my other leg. So I'm going to have a little bit more of a bend in what you're seeing as my right leg. And that helps take some of the pressure off of the back of that leg. Find again what works for you with your gaze. If you want to look up towards the ceiling, just to encourage your heart to open more towards the ceiling. Or maybe you just kind of let your head be heavy as you, again, are arching up and over your right leg. Keep those full deep breaths here. Make sure that you're not collapsing into your hip joints, and so that if it feels like you are, gently pull your torso up a little bit more to a longer, straighter spine. You know from the first side that we aren't here for too long. And notice that one side might be different, right? This side may feel very different from your first side, and that's normal. Your body's asymmetrical. So can you meet yourself where you're at? Can you meet your body where it's at? And can you honor your body's ability to move today without trying to pressure it to go deeper or do more or look like me and whatever I'm doing on the screen? Really nice, big, full, deep breaths here. You've been here for a couple of minutes, so notice if anything needs to be adjusted. I notice that now the pressure along the back of my right leg feels a little bit better and less intense, so I've straightened my leg a little bit more. We'll be here for about 30 more seconds or so. Big, deep breath in. And sigh it out. Inhale, lift your torso. Ooh, hello, psoas. Maybe bring the soles of the feet together or straighten your legs. I'm going to kind of do, oh my goodness, I am so achy, but I'm going to do a little bit of stirring of my spine and my pelvis just to kind of allow things to be moving again. And you might notice that as we do these rebound or resonance shapes in between, where we maybe just pause and are in stillness, or as we gently ease out of a shape, you might notice some achiness. And that's actually really appropriate. For yin yoga, that means you targeted those connective tissues in the body. So know that it's common after a practice like this to feel like you're like really old or to feel achy. You did it right. And if you don't feel it, that's okay too. I don't always feel achy or old. No comments with the old piece. All right, maybe give your knees a hug. Just kind of hug your knees in toward your chest as you're seated. Wiggle side to side. And then meet me on hands and knees. I'm gonna just do a couple cat-cows to kind of wring out the spine a little bit. I'm going to give Luca a kiss because he's a good boy. So go ahead and find yourself on hands and knees. Your fingers will be spread wide, wrists underneath your shoulders. Your hips are over your knees, and your knees are hips width distance apart. Peek through your legs. Make sure you can't see your feet. That'll make sure that your ankles are coming out directly from your knees. And then go ahead and inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze. Yeah, good boy. Exhale, round your spine, push the floor away, and pull your chin toward your chest. Inhale, drop the belly, heart pushes through your upper shoulders, gaze lifts. Exhale, round the spine, push the floor away, chin toward chest. Go ahead and move through a few rounds at your own pace with your own breath, maybe inviting in a little bit of movement. I'm going to wiggle my hips around and take some circles. You might even move your body around over your wrists and your knees. Good boy. Good boy. But just kind of find what works for you. Maybe shaking out the head. Take one more round with your breath. And then gently return to neutral and come to lie down fully on your mat, on your belly. Rest one hand on top of the other. Turn your cheek to one side. Maybe, yes, hi, Luca. If you have a cat near you, you might get kicked in the head by him. Go ahead, wiggle your hips from side to side. Stretch your legs long so that you have space in your hip flexors. And for a moment, just let your body really settle in here into your mat. We'll move into Sphinx. And so as you feel ready, you'll bring yourself up onto your forearms. And your forearms will be parallel to one another. So it's like the number 11 in your arms. Your elbows are hugging in, so they're in line with your wrists. So your elbows are not winging out to the side, they're hugging in. And you might, I don't know if you can see Luca, he's rolling over, showing his belly. You might play around with the distance of your elbows away from your shoulders. So the further my elbows are from my shoulders, the less of a back bend I'm getting here in my low spine. The closer I bring my elbows to being underneath my shoulders, I'm getting significantly more crunching in my low spine, and it's much more of a back bend. I haven't warmed up my back as much, so I'm going to go a little bit longer and bring my elbows out further away from my shoulders. Fingers are spread wide. My shoulders are hugging together behind my back so that I can almost shine my heart forward through my upper arms. And the shoulders are melting away from my ears. You can keep your gaze maybe looking in between your thumb and index fingers, or maybe a few feet in front of your hands. Or you can always let your head hang heavy to get a stretch across the back of your neck. Gaze can also be lifted, but be mindful that that might put pressure on the back of your neck, your cervical spine. So find what works for you here, rooting your pelvis and your legs heavily into the floor, growing your spine and your heart long out of your pelvis. Breathing deeply into your belly. Notice how breathing into your belly might even just internally massage your low back. We won't be here for too long. I know it can get intense. Soften your jaw. Soften your forehead. Maybe smile. Your arms are doing some effort here to hold your torso up. If at any point you need to relax them and lower down, do so, whatever you need here in this moment. Again, the point of this practice is for you to be more connected with your body, with your internal experience, not to conform to what you think the shape should look like, or going to the deepest for this point of a pose. Got about 30 seconds here. Big, full, deep breaths into your belly. Big, deep breath in. Exhale, lower. Stack opposite hand on top and turn your cheek to the opposite way. Wiggle your hips from side to side to just loosen out the low back. Maybe bend your knees. Swivel your legs from side to side or swish your legs from side to side. And then allow your body to soften and settle for a moment. Turn your awareness to your low back and to your spine. See if anything feels different. Maybe there was a building of intensity or tenseness in your low back, and maybe now there's been a bit of a release or a relief. So just notice. Now flip yourself over like a pancake onto your back. And you'll extend your legs long up towards the ceiling, coming into sleeping tiger pose. And so you can keep a soft bend in your knees if you need to. Let your feet be relaxed. Ideally, your heels are somewhere over your hips, but avoid sort of like crunching them forward. You want to leave some space along the hip flexors. So I have a bend in my knees, so you'll notice my heels are not over my hips directly. And then if it feels okay, lift your arms up towards the ceiling, palms face in, and then let the fingertips drape down toward you. So you could imagine that if you've ever seen like a tiger sleeping on a branch, that the branch is in between my legs, in between my hands, if I were the tiger. And I'm just hanging. So this is the sleeping tiger, but upside down. It's a bit of a gentle inversion, right? So our feet are above our heart. It lets the blood flow a different way. If at any point you experience any numbness or tingling, you can gently move whatever you need to. So that may mean lowering the arms or bending the knees for a moment. Whatever you need to do. We won't be here too long, but this is one of my favorite yin poses, and I had to do it for y'all. Allow your jaw to be soft. Your breath is really full and deep in your belly. Lower your hands to rest on your belly. Keep your legs extended if you can for a moment. Breathe deeply into your hands, resting on your belly. Lower your right leg down and then begin to bend your left knee in toward your left armpit, coming into a half happy baby. You might bend your right knee or you might straighten it. So find what works for you, but notice how the shape of or the positioning of your right leg will impact the stretch that you feel along your left leg. In half happy baby, it's almost like you're in a squat on the ceiling. So my leg is at about a 90-degree angle. It's like I could step my foot on the ceiling. And my left arm is gently coaxing and pulling my left foot back, my left leg back towards my body, towards my left armpit. Let your right leg be relaxed. Let your left leg also be relaxed. And while your left arm is using a bit of effort, can you also settle into that 4 or 5 out of 10? So not too intense, not too gentle. Maybe you feel some pressure across the inner hip point on your left leg. Few more deep breaths here. Big breath in. Exhale, release your left leg to meet your right. Pause for a moment on your back. Let your hands, maybe shake them out for a moment. Let yourself rest. And we've still got one more side, so go ahead and bend your right leg now. Reaching your right hand to the outside of your right foot and gently pull your right leg down so that your right knee is aiming toward your right armpit. Although for me, I have some hip issues, so I take my knee outside of my right shoulder. That's better for me. You might keep your left knee bent, or you might straighten it. But again, notice how the placement of your left leg impacts the stretch that you might feel in your right leg. Breathe deeply here, maybe directing your breath to the inside of your right hip flexor where you might feel some pressure. Again, finding that 4 or 5 out of 10 with this right leg, this half happy baby. Soften your jaw. Let all the muscles in your body gently relax. Your right arm uses some effort as it pulls your right leg. See if you can really just allow the rest of your body to soften. A few more deep breaths here. Big full breath in. And exhale. Slowly lower your right leg to meet your left. Maybe roll out your wrists, roll out your ankles. And then gently settle yourself in for Shavasana. So lying down on your back, let your feet flop to the sides. Maybe your arms rest alongside you, or maybe they rest on your torso. Lift your head for a moment, tuck your chin toward your chest, and then lower your head back down just to ensure that you've got space along the back of your neck and you're supporting your cervical spine. If it feels safe to do so, close your eyes or maybe gaze softly at the ceiling. Allow your breath to soften and slow. Maybe take a few sighs out the mouth. And before we settle into some silence, check in with your internal experience once more. Notice how you're feeling in this pose, lying here on your mat. After nearly an hour of movement and breathing, notice if anything is different in your body, if anything is different in your thoughts. Maybe nothing has changed, and that's okay too. Offer yourself some gratitude for making the space for this practice today. And offer yourself the luxury of a few moments of being within your internal experience, of being with your breath, being in this virtual community with your fellow Huskies, and allowing yourself a few moments of peace and of doing nothing here in Shavasana. Gently start to deepen your breath. First, allowing the breath to move your body. Maybe gently and softly turning your head from side to side, softly opening and closing your mouth, your jaw. Maybe gently opening and closing your palms, rolling out the wrists, rolling out your ankles. Maybe doing a nice overhead stretch. Reach your arms long, point your toes, stretch, stretch, stretch arms and legs in opposite directions. And then gently relax. Bend your knees, hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Maybe curl up into a little ball for a moment. Gently lower your head, rock your hips from side to side. And then with eyes closed or a soft gaze, roll over to one side and pause for a moment on your side. Moving gently and with care. Slowly bring yourself up to a seated position. So ending this class a similar way that we started. Once you're in a comfortable seated position, I'll invite you, per usual, to bring your left hand to rest over your heart. Fingers spread wide. Right hand rests over your other hand. Fingers spread wide, apply a gentle pressure so that you can really feel the weight of your hands over your heart as a symbol of gratitude and an offering of compassion from yourself to yourself. Offer yourself gratitude for making the time for this practice today. Offer your body gratitude for being able to move in the way that it did during this practice and the way that it supports you each and every day. Offer gratitude to those who shared in this practice with you virtually or maybe with you in your space. And to those who have yet to do this practice, but who will at some point during the archived videos on the YouTube page. And send love and gratitude out to the world, to those who might need it most during such a challenging time in our country, in our world. Know that gratitude is always here for you whenever you need it. Big, deep breath in. Exhale. Beautiful. Second one, big breath in. And exhale. Last one, make it count. Big breath in. Exhale, let it go. Slowly lower your hands to your knees. Gently blink open your eyes and come back to the space. Thank you so, so much for practicing with me all these years, all these months. We've been doing this on, I can't even get through this, on Northeastern Spiritual Life on CSDS YouTube page since March. It has been an honor and a privilege to practice yoga with you and to work with you. And I send you so much love and care and gratitude. And I hope that you enter this spring semester with strength and grace, and you got this. Y'all are amazing and brilliant. So lots of love from Luca and I. All right, take good care, everybody. Oh, thank you. All the best to you as well. Mwah, 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 mwah. Luca's waving bye.